I'll be right back. I got it. You'll be fine. I left my computer on and still be running. Okay. think so. Hi, Eric.
Hey,
Hey, Rita. Hi, Linda.
Hello,
hey,
how's everybody doing?
Okay.
everybody,
Everybody.
how's everybody doing?
How's everybody? Everybody here. Not everybody.
Yeah, I know. I'm doing fine.
I'm doing fine. I just, I'm gonna use two computers and external monitor tonight
Oh,
because
boy.
for some reason my work computer wants to do some sort of Zoom update before it will let me log in.
Oh.
So I'm using my
Oh.
home computer for Zoom. And
Uh-huh. Okay.
anyway, so if you see me not really looking at this at the
Right.
screen, it's because I'm
That's what you're
typing
doing.
on another screen. Yes.
Okay. We get it. We get it.
I had a woman stop by needing trash bags who had been having a terrible day today.
And you made her day by getting her trash bags?
Oh, yes. And also I had total sympathy with her because if anything could go wrong, it went wrong today
Yeah.
for more than a couple people. But problems are getting solved left and right, so we're in good shape.
Excellent. Excellent.
We're still 2 days away from Friday the 13th too. We're gonna watch out.
Don't even talk about that.
I know. Just warning you. Better stay in bed that day.
I have my granddaughter that day, so not staying in bed.
Yeah, right.
That's my alarm that says our meeting is starting.
Oh, all right. Holy cow, where is Melissa?
Good question. I will put out
Did she start her new job?
not yet. I think
Oh.
next
Next week. There she is. She's joining
There
in.
she is, right on the 5:45.
Perfect. Hi, Tom.
Hi, Tom.
All right. Great.
And Melissa?
So we are ready. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order of the Shutesbury Select Board on May 10th, 2022. Things got moved around on the agenda from what we had originally intended because people were not available and a number of different things. So I'm going to just go through the updated agenda. So we'll have public comment, then review minutes. We have 2 sets of minutes to review, then go through annual town meeting, just review of the plans and meet with the moderator. 6:10, we're going to talk about the American Rescue Plan and how we're going to proceed with the funding or looking at how we use that funding. I think it's Tamsin from FERCog is going to be with us at 6:20 to talk about town pollinator. I believe it's a grant that they're applying for, looking for a support letter. Then we have a recycling grant renewal with the state, a request for change to the Black Lives Matter banner, the town hall, appointment of the fire chief hiring committee, and then the EMP emergency management plan grant review. Is Walter going to join us or somebody else? No, okay.
No.
So not with the fire chief, but Becky will just tell
Yeah.
us about it. And then town administrator updates. Is there anything else, additions or deletions, unexpected additions? Yeah, Becky?
I think Paul might end up at the finance committee meeting instead of with us.
Oh, okay.
So I'll just tell you what we've been talking about if he's not here.
Okay. All right. That sounds great. So we'll open with public comment, and as I say at most meetings that this is a time for members of the public to make comments, and we ask that you keep those comments brief, to the point, and that's it. So I see we have Tom Seifert, and your hand is up, Tom, so you have the floor.
Hi, thanks so much. I really appreciate that you have the public comment section. And I just wanted to add, in the current environment and situation the country's in, that maybe one idea would be to add to the Black Lives Matter sign something like Women's Lives Matter. And just leave it at that, please. And I'm just gonna watch tonight, and really thank you for letting us watch.
Okay, all right, great. Thanks for being here. Any other public comments? Okay, hearing none, why don't we go ahead and start the go through the minutes from April 26, 2022 and May 4th, 2022. So do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of April 26th?
So moved.
Second,
Okay, any discussion, any additions, deletions to those minutes?
I have none.
no, they're fine, I think.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye.
Stalker, eye.
Farrell, aye. And do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of May 4th, 2022?
So moved.
Second,
Any discussion about those minutes? Linda, was that the meeting? I can't remember now. I did go through the minutes where Mike Vinsky was gonna send in comments? Or did he send comments, anything in writing?
No, he
No,
didn't.
okay. Okay.
that was
just
the
checking.
that was the first one we did.
The
by
first one,
way.
okay,
Yeah.
all right, thanks. Okay, so a motion has been made and seconded, and with no comments, so all those in favor of approving the minutes of May 4th, 2022 signify by saying aye.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye.
Stalker, eye.
Farrell, aye. Okay, so we are running ahead. I see Tamsin is here, has joined us. Do we want to talk about the PERCOG now, Becky, or?
Sure, that sounds great.
Okay. Hi, Tamsin.
Hi, thank you. I appreciate having me and putting me on the agenda.
Okay,
So at the FERCOG, we're working on a grant over the next 2 weeks to expand our regional pollinator plan. Last summer, we finalized a regional pollinator plan that looked at existing and potential habitat across the whole county and thought about pollinator corridors that spanned towns. And we also, as part of that, wrote town-specific plans. And so we have the opportunity to expand that work. And we are, I worked on the Shutesbury Open Space and Recreation Plan, and there was some expressed interest in developing better pollinator practices and identifying pollinator habitat. And so I'm reaching out to you all to see if you would be interested in submitting a letter of support for our grant proposal. If we were awarded the grant, we already have a match, so it's at no cost to the town. What it would probably, the two main components of the town level work would be doing that further analysis of identifying pollinator habitat and working with the town to identify existing like projects in the pipeline that could have pollinator work incorporated into it, and other sort of like sort of like town practices that could be changed to support pollinators, as well as those like capital projects. And then traditionally we've worked with planning boards to review the solar bylaws to see if there's opportunity to enhance habitat for pollinators. And those just come through as recommendations. There's no obligation to make those zoning changes as part of the planning work we do together. So
I
if you're
believe
interested-
I believe in our solar bylaw that there is pollinator language. There's language
Okay.
about,
Yeah, there's a lot of it, I think, actually, but maybe there could be more. I'm just saying there's a lot already.
yeah, it might be worth taking a look at to see if we wanted to amend it at all. And
Okay.
how many towns will be participating in the grant?
5 this round. We've identified 5 this round. We're asking 5.
Okay,
And last time we did 8. And it's the towns that we've asked are going to plug some of the holes really nicely.
oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
All right, any questions from select board members?
When do you need our letter of support, Tamsin?
Ideally mid next week, just to give us some time to incorporate like your participation. I think the grant is due the 20th. So that's next Friday.
Do we have sort of a standard letter? Did you?
Yes, she submitted an example for us to work from, so it's
Okay.
pretty straightforward.
Okay.
Easy. Thank you very much, Tamsin.
Yep.
And I'll have it in your box tomorrow.
Okay.
So do I hear a motion to, for the select board to send a letter of support for the FERCog town pollinator grant application?
Yep, so moved.
Second,
Any further discussion?
Mm-mm.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye.
Stalker, aye.
Farrell, aye. Thanks for being flexible tonight, Tamsin.
That's great.
So-
Thank you.
Yeah, Becky will get you the letter then.
Great. And we'll let you know if we're awarded the grant. And if you need us to, we can circle back to the select board and planning board and just talk about our process a little more before we start initiating.
Okay, yeah, that would be good.
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
good idea.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Okay, Becky, we're sort of jumping around a little bit, but
So it's now 5:55 and okay, I guess I could go into TA stuff, or we could go, how about the
the recycling grant, do you want to do that? That's just a
Sure.
grant renewal, right?
Right,
not
and the other one's just an extension, so they're both very small.
Okay.
Okay, so the recycling grant is we're just authorizing, town is authorizing continued receiving grants from DEP in their recycling program. And this renewal is for the smaller grants, so it's more of a blanket renewal. It'll begin on July 1 and go through June 30, 2029.
Oh, that's a long time.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
it's usually for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, how do you get that type of grant?
Yeah,
Go back to the
right.
They don't tell you how much it's for. That's the trick. They leave the dollar amount blank.
That's a little weird. They're just asking us if we'll accept the grants
Yes,
for recycling.
Yes.
Okay, for that time period.
yes.
Okay. Well, I can't see us turning down grants, so unless they
Free
came
money
with-
is, yeah, free money is a good thing.
Yeah. Okay, so do I hear a motion to accept the recycling grant renewal proposal with the state of Massachusetts?
So moved.
Second,
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye.
Stalker, aye.
Farrell, aye.
Okay, and then did you want to go on to Walter's request?
Sure, yeah, the EMP grant,
Yes.
okay.
So, as is typical with these grants, they don't. So this one I guess this is the FY21. I'll just read Walter's. Attached is the amended contract for the FY 2021 EMPG grant. We were awarded an extension because of the severe delays that Motorola is experiencing in production and delivery of radios. This amendment extends the contract end date to June 30th, 2023. I just want to verify. Yep. So the extension is extend the end date from June 30th, 2022 to June 30th, 2023. And again, this is the Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency's grant to the emergency management program.
And it was for the new radios, is that?
Yes, that we had ordered, well, just a couple of them. We ordered just some of them through Ensign Chargers, I believe. We ordered this year, but they are not going to be received before the grant is over.
I see. And we don't pay until we get the equipment, is that right? Yeah, that's why we
Correct.
need an extension.
Because we have to supply the invoices.
Yep,
And so it's not, they don't just give us a chunk of money to spend.
I see. Oh, we get reimbursed. Okay, that makes sense.
We have to submit the invoices.
Okay.
to Prove it. Okay.
All right, so do I hear a motion to approve the extension of the EMPG grant to 6/30/23?
So moved.
Second,
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye.
Docker, I.
Farrell, aye. Okay, so we want to talk about annual town meeting.
Yes. So the big question that Paul and Grace have been asking is, had I been able to confirm the sound system for this year? And I had a call into Walter on Friday, but of course he doesn't work Fridays. Mark Foster called me back this afternoon, and he said he would take that question to the fire department on Thursday night and try to get some guys lined up to bring the fire department sound system to town meeting. So he won't have confirmation of my request until Thursday night, but he thinks that that they will pull it together.
Okay,
And if not, the backup plan is the sound system that we have in town hall, which is not as good, but hopefully will serve the purpose, and hopefully we don't need a backup plan.
is there any reason why we wouldn't be able to access the fire department sound system?
Only,
Belongs to the town, right?
no, it was actually, it's the fire association,
Fighters Association.
Oh, okay.
but
Okay.
I'm sure Mark is gonna make this happen. He's
Right.
he's been very supportive, and with Walter out of commission, I think the firefighters will probably.
So they do all the setup.
Yeah.
And are they at town meeting too? Do they?
They've been up in the last couple of years, there's been at least a couple of them, including Walter,
It went from about 30, 35 to about 60.
in the corner by the hut.
A bunch of talking in the background. I don't know.
Oh, I'll mute. Hold on.
Oh, okay. It's okay. Okay, all right, so,
Yeah, I mean, I can probably help with that too, if I could be the backup to the backup to the backup, but
Oh, that would be great, Eric.
Yeah.
I
that
got a
would be
lot of
great.
I got a lot of sound stuff, and I'd rather not have to do that.
we'd rather you
Um,
not have to do it too, but,
Exactly, but I will do it if I have to, or I'll help them do it, or whatever combination thereof. I'll
oh,
just,
that's great.
you can tell them to call me or I'll call them or what, anyway. I would assume they must go there at 8 o'clock in the morning or something to
Or
set it
earlier.
all up or whatever.
When do they?
They do it that morning because the weather can be a problem.
Right.
So I,
But you can tell Mark, he can call me or whatever. I mean, I'm glad to help if that's helpful.
okay, I'll give Mark your phone number, okay, Eric?
That's fine.
That,
And
thank
are
you.
we all set with the tent?
Yep. It will
Okay.
be put up on Friday.
Mhm.
They confirmed and
That's the house phone.
and then Friday afternoon, we're going to assemble all the finance committee and select board members, and Board of Health said that they will help as well, even though they're not going to take as active a role. They definitely will help with setup. And then the only thing that I haven't lined up is parking. If I know 2 people I can get to help with parking. If anybody else wants to volunteer somebody, that would be helpful.
So can we just go back to the Friday afternoon first and then talk about parking
Sure.
after? So Friday afternoon, what's the expectation that select board members are there to help? I assume Melissa will be not available.
That's the first week
Starting a
of
new
my new
job.
job. So I can come afterwards, but I can send Chris in my stead when he gets out of work that day. Or maybe I can get him to get out early.
Mhm.
He's got experience with those tents and stuff. So
Is there anybody else who knows how to assemble those tents?
I know, well, I do for sure.
well, the firefighters I know have used tents like that in the past too.
But the firefighters don't usually help with that at all.
You're talking about the small tent, not the big tent, Taylor Rental.
Not the big tent, the small
No,
tent.
no, the
So-
smaller ones. I mean, they're really easy. You just walk away from each other and pop, they pop up. But I do know the firefighters do have experience. They use a couple of them with their trainings and stuff.
I know Mary Ann knows how to do it too.
Yeah,
She's done
Yeah, and my husband knows how to do them too.
yeah.
So
It'd be nice if we had some non-senior citizens to help.
I'll send Chris. I'll see who else I can think of.
Who are you calling a senior citizen?
Mwah. I have a bad elbow. I don't want to make it worse.
Oh,
All right, so you're gonna be busy prepping for the meeting on Friday afternoon while we raise tents, right, Rita?
I can direct. I can say over there.
Yeah.
there you go.
Now, I can do some stuff. I just don't want to do any heavy lifting because
No, you gotta be careful.
yeah.
All right, so we
I
probably,
mean, so it's the select board finance committee members. Do we ask to come?
we have in the past, yeah, and
Okay.
they've all shown up pretty much, and,
Okay.
What
and
time, Becky? What time do you think you'll be doing it?
probably around, we don't want to go too late, like, we could do 3 o'clock.
Okay.
Melissa, you can't get here, it's,
No, I
Yeah.
won't be able to, but like I said, I can volunteer off for Chris, who can make it shortly thereafter.
and let's see who else we can get. The police department might help.
Yeah.
If somebody's on and not on a call. We
What
just
about
wanna
anyone
make
at the
sure,
highway? What about anyone at the highway barn?
They're usually done by about then.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we've done it with like 6 people, and between finance committee and select board and board of health has some
Okay.
blood too. We'll be fine, and I'll call
Okay.
the police department, and we just want to make sure that, yeah, Kristen doesn't overdo it as well.
Mm-mm.
Right.
And, okay. And as far as parking in the morning, I have 2 people lined up for parking. helping. And then the police, there'll be 2 or 3 police officers to help with parking over on the common as well. So that should be enough.
Becky, my sense is that we're going to have a real issue with that there's going to be a very large turnout and that the parking on the town common is not going to be adequate for all the cars. You know, do we want to encourage people to carpool or to park at the school and then carpool up to town hall, or what's our sort of fallback? We don't want people, not coming to town meeting because there's no place to park. And I think what's going to happen is that town common is going to fill up really quickly. And
I think that's a good point.
Very good point.
One idea had been brought to the town clerk early on to hire a shuttle bus from the school.
Pretty expensive.
Yeah. And
Is there a way to use a school bus that? I mean, if you hire one of those, buses like a PVTA type bus, it's really expensive, but.
Amherst owns the buses in Amherst. I guess the question is, do we really want to do that? Because, I mean, that's not fast either. It's really slow. I know. You only have one bus and it could take 20 minutes just, filling up and
Unloading.
Loading, yeah. Well, if the
Maybe
other
carpooling.
option is to say like not at the fire department, because you really don't want to use that for parking to block emergency vehicles if they needed to get out, but the highway department, you could get, I would think, quite a few cars, like 30 cars anyway, there.
And Lotto 32 had about 20 the other day.
I guess as long as there was adequate police presence on Leverett Road that day, if people are walking. We hope the weather is good and, people can walk up from.
I think what we did the very first year was really encourage people to bike and walk and carpool.
Yeah.
So I think
I just think we should do that again. We should put something out, but maybe raise that, like talk about Lotto 32, talk about the highway department. And, people could be dropped off and then it's just like one driver to then just park the car.
Yeah.
So get dropped off and then, so we have fewer people walking. But alerting the police to the fact that's a lot more pedestrians on Leverett Road on a
and
Saturday.
maybe we might
morning.
even be able to ask, I don't know, I'll talk to Kristen and see if the old crown, no, it doesn't exist anymore. I was thinking if we were to drive people that were slower, but that's not going to help.
Yeah.
What happens if the police set up something just because of the pedestrians, similar to that they do on Halloween? They do something down on
Like
Cooleyville
cones.
just to let people know, people crossing go slow, and then the vice versa the other side, just so that driver is going through will know. Do we have any graduations going on that week?
That was my next question for you, Melissa. Figuring you are for at least a little while longer in the academic world, right?
Yeah. Well, but forever impacted by graduation.
Right.
Right. I know I think UMass is next weekend coming up, or
It's
this weekend, this weekend.
The 13th.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Friday the 13th. How would you like to graduate on Friday the 13th? But
One that have
Yeah.
the biggest pull in the area
yeah,
for attendees.
It's also, it's the students leaving, they're always coming through town, so
Hampshire College is on May 21st.
it is, okay.
Amherst is after, so you don't have to worry about that.
Okay, and UMass is earlier.
Mount Holyoke wouldn't pull too much because they would go down further
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah,
So
okay, so just
so just
Hampshire.
Hampshire, which they don't have a huge amount of graduates at the moment.
Okay. All right, so maybe, Becky, if you want to talk to Kristen, just saying if we're going to tell people about parking down there, sort of what, do we put up cones or, whatever slows people down on, whatever will slow people down on Leverett Road if people are walking.
And we can encourage people to drop off your passengers at the top of the hill and hope if we can get a turnaround in front of town hall for people to drop off people and park.
So there should be no parking in the turnaround in the front and just leave that completely open for cars dropping people
Yeah.
off. So that's, I think that should be marked, no parking there. And then,
How will we get the word out? Whatever we do decide to do, how will we get the word out to people?
I'm gonna do a town announce with Paul, and then Paul's gonna probably put it on next door. Or somebody usually does.
just around the parking.
Yeah, the
Okay.
parking and the encouraging the carpooling, biking, walking, and carpooling, dropping off people and coming back.
Okay. All right, that sounds good. It's probably the biggest challenge for Saturday. Anything else, Becky, about town meeting?
I think, it's gonna be a long town meeting. We're gonna wanna make sure people, yeah, I haven't even talked to Mary Ann about food.
Yeah, I think they're selling food, aren't they?
Yes. So there will be food available, but we want people, to know that food will be available, but they might want to bring snacks. We want them to know it's going to be a long day. And bring chairs.
Right. If we can minimize the number of chairs we're taking out of town hall, that would be great.
I think last year and the year before, we just had the chairs we used at the front tables or the head tables for the different committees.
And we
I don't
didn't,
think
we
we-
didn't bring any others out.
I
Yeah,
don't think we did, yeah.
let's do
I think
that.
we actually did, but we just left the tray of chairs near the back door of the town hall and people came and got their own if they needed.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that we had taken out that many.
Yeah, I would definitely put that in the announcement so that people know they should bring chairs. I mean, the parking and the chairs are both
Big.
potential logistical problems.
Yeah. And has anybody ordered good weather yet for that day?
Yeah.
I talked to the man earlier
Always.
today.
Always.
Put in your order.
Yeah. Okay.
Gonna be a big, okay. So I'll get the announcement written with Paul and I know he's mindful of every detail. And he's usually talks to the police, to Kristen ahead so that their expectations are coordinated. And
Is there anything relating to like the Board of Health, that is to say masks and all that kind of, I mean, are we saying people should wear masks or encouraging people to wear masks or requiring, what are we doing about like masks, I guess,
you
in
can't,
particular?
no requirement. Board of Health is kind of at the end of their recommendations. They're recommending you get vaccinated. We can recommend you wear masks if you are, susceptible to, to disease and to COVID, or if you aren't vaccinated, you want to be sure to wear masks. So we can
They're
just,
not going to have masks there or any of that.
we can have them available. We'll have them on a table near the elections and we're going to have tables with documents this year, which I think we started doing a little bit last year, but the first year we couldn't have any, but this year we can have information available for people. We can have masks available. We'll have sanitizer available if people want it. But being outdoors, Board of Health really felt risk is a real minimum. They're not concerned about masking out of doors, but people should do it for their own protection if they feel they need it.
I see Paul Lyons has joined us. Paul, we're talking about just some of the logistical stuff around town meeting. So I don't know if there's anything in particular you wanted to bring up.
Well, I talked to Becky yesterday a little bit about, planning, just some of the specifics or, numbers of microphones and, the layout and so forth. But I think we can deal with all that next week probably. So, no, I'm sorry, I'm a little late, but no, I don't really have any major issues.
Okay. Yeah, probably the biggest thing, we were talking about parking and how to address that, but I think we came up with some ideas and we'll work with, Becky will work with Kristen on that and getting some, with you getting a sort of a town announce / next door neighbor thing out to folks.
Right. Yeah, I plan to do that pretty much as soon as we get an official posting for the public information session next week. I want to
Okay.
advertise that and then, also something about town meeting.
Okay. All right, great. Anything else? We're all set. We're not meeting again before town meeting. Is that correct?
You're muted,
You're
Becky.
Becky.
I said so far, sorry, I was.
Okay, okay,
Well, yeah, on the 20th to set up, I suppose that could.
The 20th. yeah.
Should probably post that as a meeting just in case we're all there talking. Does that make sense or no? I always like to post stuff.
There's
just
enough
as-
people there to diffuse any of that stuff.
Okay.
There's enough work to be done, so those things don't happen.
Okay,
But I do agree, Eric, err on the side of caution, just post
Yeah.
everything.
you
Yeah,
post it and then you don't have
Right.
to have a meeting. I mean, you can just not have one,
right.
but you can post it just so that you're legally, within the realm of the law, basically.
Yeah, Melissa won't be there, but you and I would be there.
That would be a
Right.
quorum with the two of you. Yeah.
Right, right. Okay. So we lost Becky. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the ARPA funding.
Excuse me.
And Melissa, I'm trying to remember in the past, did we get there? At the morning of town meeting? We should be there at 8. Is that?
Yeah, I usually dabbled in at 8 if there was anything left that needed to be done,
Okay,
that way I can lend a hand at whatever.
okay. All right. So I'll be there at 8 without a car. I'll get dropped off. Or bicycle. Not.
Yeah.
Although it's mostly a flat
I
route.
don't want to get hit on the way to town meeting. Fall off my bike.
would-
Okay, so why don't we talk about ARPA, which is the American Rescue Plan
Mhm.
Act funding. So I think, this has come up both at the Finance Committee, we've talked about it previously at select board meetings. And so the town I think it's already received some of the ARPA money. And Becky, I believe the last figure I heard from you was it's somewhere in the neighborhood of between $525,000 and $575,000. Do we have a more exact figure at this point? or-
I believe it is the lower number. It's 525,000.
Okay, and that money, some of that money comes directly from the Treasury, is that correct? Rather, it doesn't come through the state of Massachusetts.
Ours is coming through the FERCog, from the
FERCog?
Treasury to the FERCog to us.
Okay,
We're considered a non-entity.
right. That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, really.
So-
You're right.
So the deal, I went to that MMA, had a workshop a few weeks ago, and the ARPA funding was on the agenda, and sort of there were a couple of takeaways for me from that FERCog training. One was that the town needs to commit the ARPA monies, commit to a project by the end of the calendar year of 2024. And I believe it's 2 years late that it needs to be spent by the end of 2026. And what the message was from both other municipalities that were represented there who are, we're getting a lot more money than us, but also from the folks from state administration and finance, Executive Office of Administration and Finance, was that it makes a lot of sense, and for us to commit the money as soon as possible. I mean, the risk we run in sort of waiting is that there have already been attempts to claw back that money, and Congress is looking around now, given the huge deficits that we have, and saying, you know, if there's unspent funds out there, let's take them back. And so the sooner we, and this is not a big rush, obviously we have some time, but it would be prudent of the town to commit those funds sooner rather than later, because if there are attempts to do a clawback, then we could lose that money. We don't have it in, we have some of it in hand. We don't have all of it in hand. And if it's not committed, then we might not have access to it. So it's, and I think the other big takeaway from that session was that because we are, as Becky said, a kind of a non-entity, we're receiving under $10 million. And if you're receiving under $10 million in ARPA funds, you have a huge amount of flexibility as to how to use those funds. So if you're getting over $10 million, you have to demonstrate impacts from COVID and loss of revenue and how you're spending the money, so that we are not subject to those kinds of regulations. And I guess there was one third piece, and that was that there was, you know, a real, people reinforced of just, well, having everything well documented, making sure that however we spend the funds, that there's, you know, excellent documentation as to, you know, how they were used. I don't think that's ever been an issue here, but it was just, again, reinforced by a number of communities. So the way that I was thinking we could proceed in terms of the ARPA funding, I mean, this is the select board makes the decision, but obviously we shouldn't make a decision in the absence of having some sort of a process. And you know, what I've been thinking about is, I mean, we already have a lot of committees. We have capital planning, we have the finance committee that sort of make recommendations about big expenditures. But we have lots of other boards and committees that I'm sure have ideas about how they might want to take advantage of this funding, along with the select board having some ideas about, you know, how the funding might be used. So, you know, in the past, we've had the all boards meeting. I don't know if we could have something similar. I'm not sure. I don't know, Eric and Melissa, if you have some ideas about how we solicit, the best way to kind of solicit and engage with town committees and boards about the ARPA funding and how we're going to use it, because then we got to move ahead in terms of making the commitments.
Well, you could, I guess, you know, you could do an all boards meeting and hash it out there, or maybe to make it a little more efficient, have the committees talk about it and maybe submit an email or something to the select board with their ideas, and then maybe have a meeting with all boards to talk about that in a more specific manner. I mean, that's the first thing that pops to mind, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good idea.
Yeah, that
Eric,
was sort
what
of
do
the
you think?
idea. I was thinking the same way, that instead of a free-for-all, all boards
Yeah.
meeting, just
Yeah.
sort of ask each committee what they would like to see happen. I mean,
Mhm. Okay,
the one thing, my personal feeling is one of the things that I think it's eligible for and that might be necessary is the whole school roof thing. If the school roof grant doesn't come through, that's a plan B if there ever was one, I
Right.
believe.
right. And that's certainly, it could be used for that. And the Finance Committee has done a tremendous amount of work looking at kind of the larger picture here and kind of looking ahead to where funding's coming from. So I think my feeling was when they were having those discussions that ARPA should not have been part of those calculations, because we hadn't, everybody hadn't been kind of on an even footing in knowing about the funds. And so, and it is the select board's job. So maybe Melissa and Eric, we do what you suggested, Melissa, is we put something out to all the, something from the select board to all the town committees and departments and say, these funds are available. We have to commit them in X period of time and set some timeline for ourselves. I don't know what, I think if we could have something done before, we're in May now, right? So
well, they
by the
could
end
do
of
it in their June meeting, so we could talk about it early July or I mean, I don't think they need to spend, more than a meeting talking about it. It's just kind of a, give us your ideas type
give us
thing.
your ideas, and then we call everybody, then we have everybody in with the
Yep.
goal of us making decisions by the end of September or no later.
Yep.
Kind of doing our deliberations. So that makes sense.
I think that sounds good.
I think that's a reasonable plan.
Okay. Becky, do you have any reactions, thoughts about that approach?
I've heard of a couple other towns that started in the same way. And then in the end, it fell apart. So the select board had to, basically took all the recommendations and graded them themselves. But there was I know of a couple other towns that went through a lot of infighting over it. And so if we can avoid
that, yeah.
avoid that by a procedure that doesn't fall into that pitfall of arguments, that would be great. So are you talking?
I think we can keep it friendly, and I like to think we can keep it friendly and productive.
Yeah, I'm just saying we want to make sure people's expectation, that everyone doesn't feel like they get it all. I think we just want to put the message out and that it's, that we can create a lot of good projects from this money. And which is a change for me because my earlier information was before they changed the reporting that you really just wanted to stick to one or two big projects because otherwise you were going to have great difficulty in reporting it. Because if you have, if you split it up between 20 different or 10 different requests, it could get unmanageable, but they really did streamline the reporting. So anything under municipal services qualifies. But needless to say, the more parts it has, the more complicated the reporting is. So
And I think it's something for the select board to think about impact. And in my mind, it would be I'd prefer doing fewer, more impactful projects than just saying we spent all the money and it went to 30 different places that we put it out there just so we spent the money.
And that's what this process does. It'll give us some thoughtfulness behind
Yeah.
spending
Yeah.
those dollars too, right? So,
Yeah, and I think then when we get the requests, then it's up to us to decide kind of approach.
and I think when we put that thing out to the committees, that we do let them know that it's the select board's prerogative to make that decision,
Mhm.
or responsibility, or that ARPA has put it in the hands of the select boards to choose. So,
Yeah, that's a good idea.
so the expectation is there already.
Yeah. If I can work on a first draft of a notice to town boards and committees, but it would be great to get comments. So if that draft goes to you, Eric, and you, Melissa, then we could get comments back to Becky. Is that works, right?
That works fine.
Works.
Okay. Okay. I'm not going to promise that this week, but my week has gotten increasingly crazy. But maybe early next week. Becky?
Could we try to make, is June 7th too late to be sure we do it by then? Or we want a goal of June 1st, right, to get it out?
Yeah, no, June 7th isn't too late.
Okay.
No, because that still encompass most of the committee's monthly meeting.
Yeah,
It's
right.
beginning of June, right?
It
Are there any
also
committees
encourage-
that don't meet in July, or CPC tends not to meet in the summer? But
Yeah, FinCom tends to take a little bit of a break.
so if we had it for the meeting, we have a meeting right after town meeting. If we have a draft by then, if we can get it out by the end of May.
Okay,
Does that sound good? So you guys can get comments back. We'll go through the announcement at that May 24th meeting. And then get it out to everybody. So for their meetings in June.
that'd be great.
Okay. And Becky, if there's anything that you have seen, I'll go through the materials I have from that session. If there's any like ARPA guidance that you think would be useful to incorporate into the memo that's going out to everybody, just send it along.
Okay. So much of what I read doesn't matter anymore.
Oh, okay.
They changed the rules.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll
But I
kind
will
of
stick
pull,
with what I have. I'll just read through it, make sure it's still applicable.
okay. All right. Oh,
Yeah,
we're
we
over.
might want to run the letter past Donna just to make sure that what we're saying is that make sense? Make sure what we're saying to people is accurate.
I doubt she knows probably
Does
less
she
than we
know?
do.
Okay, then that may be.
Yeah,
That would be the, yeah, okay.
yeah, if anybody, I would see if there was somebody at FERCog, just because they did all this training, but okay, all right, so that sounds good. All right, so we're running a few minutes behind schedule here. I see Marianne is here. Marianne, the item on the agenda is request for change to Black Lives Matter sign.
Hi. So I've been noticing that the Black Lives Matter sign is getting a little disheveled. Some of the grommets have come out, so it can't be secured to the building on all four corners. And it's been up there for almost 2 years. And it's looking kind of decrepit. And so it doesn't sort of cast the same proud message looking like that. So last year, A couple moved to town, Bobby Brown and Joan Green. They bought a house on West Pelham Road. And they're artists, and they're having an open studio the first weekend in June. And I was looking at their website, and because I like art and I like people who live in Shutesbury. So, and I noticed a beautiful poster that Bobby Brown made. And it's a Tree of Life poster, and it has the phrase Black Lives Matter in the artwork. And so I had this idea that instead of getting a new Black Lives Matter banner for the front of Town Hall, I had an idea that we would buy this Black Lives Matter poster from Bobby Brown, you know, a Black artist who lives in town, and put it inside Town Hall and take down the banner and archive it as a piece of our history. And so I called Bobby to see how much the poster was. And the poster that I saw wasn't available, but he created one today, and he wants to donate it to the town. He wants to gift it to the town. And I can show it to you if you'd like, if Becky can let me share my screen. Would you like to see it?
Sure.
Okay, so you're gonna make it, okay, good. Let's see. So this is the poster. So he calls it a Tree of Life. Does everyone see it?
Yep.
It's 12 by 18, so it's not huge, you know, but it's also not tiny. He said, how big should it be? And I said, well, Town Hall is kind of small, and it's not like we have a gallery or something, but you know, there could be some place to put this. So, and then I would have it framed. I would have have it professionally framed. So what do people think of that idea? I've run it by, when I approached the select board about putting the Black Lives Matter sign up 2 years ago, there was a woman at that time. I was working closely with another woman in town. We had done a couple of vigils on the town common, and I called her. She loves the idea. I spoke to one member of the library social justice book group, and she loves the idea. And I ran it by a friend of mine just to see if my instincts were right. And then Bobby loves the idea. And I thought it would be also a way of welcoming, you know, a new person to town, you know. So those are all my thoughts.
Reactions from the select board?
I can stop sharing.
Okay.
Well, one reaction I would have
Thank you.
is this seems really small, but the thing about the sign now is it's very obvious. I mean, a 12 by 18 poster doesn't seem to me like it's gonna do it in terms of, you won't be able to see that from the street and read it. You know what I mean?
No, of course.
No,
What's your vision of what it would, I'm a little unclear what the vision is then.
yeah, it wouldn't be on the street. It would be inside Town Hall.
Oh, inside, okay.
Yeah, it would be inside Town Hall, and it would, and I thought, okay, we could maybe get, you know, I have an extra Black Lives Matter lawn sign in my garage. You know, I had a whole bunch of them so that I always had a new one to put out when they got swiped. We could put one out front, but it could just be, there could also be a photo on the website. So, you know, like the banner is in pretty rough shape, and
Right.
and really doesn't look great anymore. It looked, I mean, I would look out at that banner and just be so filled with pride for the town. And but it doesn't have to be there forever, you know. And this would be a way of carrying the message inside Town Hall. And then maybe we would have a photo on the website, and maybe we would have a ceremony. Maybe the banner went up on Juneteenth 2020. Maybe the banner could come down on Juneteenth 2022, and the piece of artwork could be hung on the wall and people could gather. And so it wouldn't have the same, very large outward message. It would be sort of, but it would also carry the message.
I think it's a great idea. And also, having a local artist who created it is really wonderful. And I like the idea of having some sort of dedication. So sort of marking this Juneteenth and then accepting this gift to the town.
The only other thing I would say is maybe, I've had a vision that maybe you'd have, and I don't know what it would be, but there are those other signs that are more generic. That is to say, they'll say, I have a friend who has one in front of the house that says hate has no place here, or there are things like that that maybe could be there. And I'm not denying the sign, the poster's a good idea. I think we should do that. Whether or not we should have something else on the town hall, it is in fact legible from the road that sort of says, hey, this is the town of Shutesbury. We don't condone racism and hatred and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I don't have the answer, but.
When we hang it inside, would you have like a museum sort of label with it that gives all the okay, artist information and such?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the name
Who the
of the
person
artist,
Yeah.
Like there's one, the door in the little bathroom copier room. Becca Wheeler painted that door, and Susie Mosier made a little plaque, but I would get one made,
So what is the pleasure of the select board?
I think the banner in the front needs to come down. It is tattered.
Yeah,
it is.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. I just think that I just like the idea of there being something that's actually visible from the road when people are driving by, of course, obeying the speed limit. They're driving by and they can see that the town of Shutesbury has taken a position that says, hey, listen, we're whatever. That seems like an idea to me. That's all. I'm not saying that having the post is not a good idea. It is a good idea, very good idea. I'm not sure it's enough. That's all I'm saying, I guess.
I don't feel as strongly about having a sign in front of town hall. I think
I don't either.
Okay, well then that's okay. That's fine.
I think we make this statement to ourselves, and people driving through can think whatever they think. But it's more about our community making a statement to itself and a commitment to itself. So
we can send a press release.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, the only reason I'm saying that is I'm thinking that if you have it inside the town hall, what percentage of the town goes into the town hall? Not that big a percentage.
Well, right now, because of COVID, no one's been inside. But once we start, maybe the placement is in a more visual area. Like where it's,
Becky?
You might want it downstairs. I don't know. If we start having in-person meetings again, we used to have a lot of people in town hall. And we also,
the hallway down there is perfect, but even though we put all these, all those pamphlets and stuff up, maybe we start to change it into a gallery where people can put art. And, this is the first installation, but we open it up to others with a more broad view of things.
well, you'll find downstairs there really isn't much wall space left. I just remember this because we trying to hang things before. It's not as much wall space as you would imagine. But anyway, the people are coming into town hall. you know, we get hundreds of people come for trash bags and then they wander around looking at things and reading them, you know, looking at the maps and looking at other things that are available. And I think it would be appropriate to have that as a good memorial to the banner being on the building. And moving on, because it wasn't 100%, not everyone was embraced the banner. So I think it will be nice to move to a different expression of important issue.
Okay,
No problem with
so
that.
what do we need to do? We need to vote on this?
We voted to put it up,
Okay,
so I
to
think
put
we
it
have
up,
to
okay.
officially vote to take it down.
Okay, so do I hear a motion that to remove the Black Lives Matter banner and to accept the gift of a Black Lives Matter poster from Bobby Brown and the library, and to that, well, I won't say anything about the event. Let's not plan an event yet.
One step at a time.
Let's get to this, deal with the sign.
So
Um,
I'll say, you said it really well, so I'll say so
Okay.
moved.
Okay.
Second,
Second. Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Make peace, O'Neill, aye.
Stalker, aye.
Barrel aye. Okay, so I'm just taking a look here. We need to do, I saw Walter was here. Walter, we already took
Thank
care of
you.
the.
I'm gonna leave. Thanks so much. Okay.
Okay, thanks, Mary Ann.
All right. Okay, bye-bye.
So Walter, we already took care of the EMPG grant. So you were off the hook if that's why you were joining us.
Well, there was that and the fire chief selection committee, I believe.
Right, right. So yeah, okay, so you're here for that too. First, tell us how you're doing.
Well, I just got back from having an MRI tonight. I see the orthopedic surgeon tomorrow and I'll have him hopefully a much better idea of which direction we're heading.
Okay, I have all of our best wishes for fast healing. So Becky, do we have a list of candidates for the fire chief hiring committee?
We do, I'm just missing the finance committee, but they said they would vote at 6:30. I'm just trying to get them to let me know what they voted.
Okay,
So let me tell you what the slate is that we have so far.
Okay.
Thanks to Walter, we had been looking for an experienced firefighter to be on the hiring committee, and Walter has come back with a recommendation of George Davies. He was a longtime firefighter and a captain of the Shutesbury Fire Department. And I just heard back from the finance committee. So we have George Davies. We have the personnel board has recommended Peg Ross. The finance committee has recommended Jim Walton. The select board had recommended Eric Stocker. We had said we wanted the police chief, Chief Burgess.
were there any more?
And then we had a candidate from the public came forward, Elaine Paleo.
Maybe on camera.
So 6 people? Okay.
Yeah.
And Is it, those typically are not, they're not public meetings, is that the interviews?
Not the first review of resumes and applications. But the second, I mean, after they go through the first batch and they determine who they're gonna interview, then they're public.
Okay. Okay, so why don't we go ahead and take up those names for appointment to the Fire Chief Hiring Committee. So do I hear a motion to appoint George Davies to the Hiring Committee?
So moved.
Second,
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye.
Stalker, aye.
Farrell, aye. Do I hear a motion to appoint Jim Walton, representing the Finance Committee, to the Hiring Committee?
So moved.
Second,
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye.
Stalker, aye.
Farrell, aye. Do I hear a motion to appoint Peg Ross from the representing the Personnel Committee to the Hiring Committee?
So moved.
Second,
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye.
Stalker, aye.
Farrell, aye. Eric, I think we already appointed you, right? Did we? No? Okay.
No,
Do I
I
hear-
don't know.
We
I think so.
volunteered him.
Well,
You
vote.
volunteered me. There we go. Now you're talking.
Do I hear a motion to appoint Eric Stocker from the Select Board to the Hiring Committee?
So moved.
Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye.
I'm gonna abstain, I guess.
Farrell, aye. You can vote for yourself.
I can,
Um,
all right. That would be wrong, though.
No, you,
You can in this case.
Do I hear a motion to appoint Chief Kristen Burgess from the Police Department to the Fire Department Hiring Committee?
So moved.
Second,
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye.
Stalker, aye.
Farrell, aye. Do I hear a motion to appoint Elaine Paleo to the Hiring Committee?
So moved.
Second,
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Makepeace O'Neill, aye.
Stalker, aye.
Farrell, aye. And Becky, can you just give us an update as to where we are in terms of advertising and so forth? And
I just wrapped up the ad today and I will get it out tomorrow morning.
okay,
Can I just add something too? I know I said this before, that I think it might be important that the process include the firefighters being able to meet finalists or the candidates in some way with
Yeah.
some, because they're the ones that will be working the closely with this person, the closest with this person.
and what's the return time on resumes? How long do people have?
I think I put it at 2 weeks.
Is that enough time?
I can change it to 3. I didn't print it yet. If you think 3 is better. Sure, I'll change it.
Where does it go?
Um,
Where does it get published?
It goes, I do put it on the MMA website, but also I was hoping that there might be some, I hadn't talked to Walter yet, but in the police situation, there were police like blogs where people look for jobs in Massachusetts. And Walter, is there something like that for firefighters?
Yep, if you can get me a copy of it, I will get it to the Franklin County Fire Chiefs Association. There are members on there that are representatives to the Western Mass Fire Chiefs Association, and then FCAM, which is the Fire Chiefs Association of Massachusetts, which would put it out into all fire departments in the entire state.
That's
So,
fabulous.
there's
Yeah.
captains or lieutenants or somebody that's looking to move up and into another department or whatever, you're going to get a broad reach of the target audience.
That's-
Vicki, why don't we make it June 1st? That's 2.5 weeks,
Okay,
3
Yeah.
weeks, but June 1st, just 1, 2, yeah, it's 3 weeks from tomorrow.
okay,
In case it doesn't, yeah, and that way we can get the local process started, the review committee process maybe scheduled before doing,
Yep.
right away, so that it gets started right away.
and also I'll put it up on on the website and in the Gazette and in the Recorder.
Okay. And Walter, so in your absence, I know this isn't on the agenda, but are you assuming that you'll be out for a while?
Well, I'm assuming I'll be out of active duty, such as responding to calls for, probably for, no, I'll know more maybe after I meet with the surgeon tomorrow and have the surgery Thursday or Friday. But like I told Becky today, right now we're running things as if I was on vacation. Between Mark
Okay.
and the 2 lieutenants, they can handle, and the day-to-day operation stuff. Responding to calls is really no different. It's the same as if I'm out of town for the evening.
Okay,
But I am still here. I can do it, I can at least, I may not be able to go in and do administrative stuff for the first couple of weeks. I really don't know, but after that, I can probably do administrative things, but I'm always here, a phone call away for any questions or anything that requires, a higher authority to make those decisions.
okay, that's great. Good, well, again, best of luck, and yeah, just keep us posted.
I will.
Okay, so I think we are on to town administrator update. Unless I didn't miss anything, right?
No, I
No.
don't think so.
Okay.
Went through everything. Okay, so I've had word back from Elena Cohen, who has set up a rescheduled meeting with the MSBA for the 17th of May. And the principal is available for that date, as well as the superintendent. The finance director, unfortunately, will not be able to be in attendance. So we're moving ahead with that meeting. The bad news that came with that information was I had asked Elena to please inquire when they would be completing their determination of award. And the news she came back with was late summer, early fall, because they want to do due diligence. This is way beyond their norm. And again, it's not helpful for the town of Shutesbury, who is trying to determine if we can wait for grant information or not. I'm hoping that when we meet with them, we will get a strong sense of what might happen with our grant application, and if we're a viable candidate or not. But this is not helpful to our planning. But it could mean that we have to move ahead with the design. But if we do that, and I'll be asking those questions too. If we were to move ahead, would we be out of contention for the grant, which I believe we will be. So we're in a tricky spot in relationship to the MSBA.
Is the design typically covered by the grant or no?
Not only is it covered by the grant, they determine who your designer is going to be.
Okay.
Yeah, they make the choices, and they have a special pool of people that they call on for that purpose.
And we have money, we're we have a vote at town meeting for the design, is that right?
Yes, we do. We were hoping to have the information soon after town meeting by June 1st, which is the norm of when they typically would have that information, so that we could determine whether we should move ahead on the design or that we were, the grant was pending. So this is a bit of a pickle.
Mhm. So that meeting's May 17th. Okay, well, that's soon. Right.
And how much are we thinking this roof is gonna cost, including the design? Do we have an idea? I mean, roughly speaking, obviously.
Yeah, we had used 750,000 in the capital plan, and we approved 60,000 for the engineering and design.
In addition to that, or that's part of that?
In
In
addition,
addition,
All right. Okay.
I see Walter's hand.
Walter, did you have something you wanted to?
Oh, I could just ask a question. I haven't been following this very much, I have to admit, but in fixing the roof, are we talking about the asphalted shingled part of the roof at this point?
Yes.
And are they looking at taking the entire truss system down and redesigning it, or are we just putting new shingles on? Because I don't think you really need a design to put new shingles on. That's my question. I don't know.
well, a number of the problems with the roof are because they stuck the new roof on top of the old roof. And so if you read about the engineering reports about it, there's a lot of places where the roof doesn't dry out the way it should. And in fact, some of the insulation that's up there could be causing mold and rot. So I think they would do a full determination of what is needed on the roof. I think the assumption in Bob's quotes have been that we just are replacing the asphalt. I think Bob has advocated for new subsurface, new plywood underneath, because the current plywood is popping nails. But it might, like you said, the engineering might mean more than that. It could deal with the rafters and make sure that all the areas where the plastic is making the moisture stay where it shouldn't be, we're going to have solutions for that. And hopefully not taking down rafters, but if they do find rot in certain places, I imagine that could happen.
Yeah, because those aren't rafters, those are trusses.
Trusses.
Span a large area, so you start removing trusses. I mean, if you can system them in place, that's one thing, but if you guys start removing them, that means basically the entire roofs. Okay. That answers my question. Thank you.
I just said that if we did have to do that, if we did, hopefully we won't, I would think we'd want to make sure we could do solar up there as well. We just designed it so the weight would be acceptable. Weight bearing capabilities would be acceptable for that, I would think.
When the the Old Energy Committee reviewed town properties and buildings, and currently the school has very little sun. There are trees on two sides of it that are a problem for solar. When we did put the solar panels up, we did it right in the middle of the building to get some sun there, but we do not own the property where the trees that are obstructing the sun are. So solar on that roof would mean figuring out how to take down trees on someone else's property. It might not be the best place for it. The recommended site for solar in Shutesbury by the Energy Committee was on Lotto 32.
Okay.
Not the school roof.
Okay, other updates, Becky?
Okay, just some housekeeping. Well, we had a bit of the trash bag order that is almost 12 weeks old now. Had a week delay. It was due in on Monday. We are now being told it's coming next Monday. To prepare for that, we did a short shipment of bags that are not marked with the town of Shutesbury. They are green bags. But we have gotten 10 cases that might get us through till next Monday. And the concern is if they really don't show up on Monday, we might have to do another short shipment. So if you go to pick up your new bags, you might be getting 2 rolls of 25 bags each that are lime green and biodegradable.
I'm green.
Okay.
We've had quite the colors. Yellow, purple,
I like the
green.
purple.
I like lime green.
Yeah, it's not bad looking. Won't
lose the bag.
No, you're not. I don't think the New Holland Company will drive by the bags either, but there won't be a whole lot of them. Anyway, so that's the big news on the recycling front, but we're going to get through this without people just getting one bag and having to find their way back at some other date to town hall. We didn't want to put people out like that again. The other issues, I think you all were realizing I was unable to stay connected through a full meeting it was ramping up. It was happening. It happened at 3 different meetings at Finance Committee, the library, and the Select Board. So it turns out the problem is the wireless. And so we today figured out how to hardwire me to the internet. But I am currently not hardwired and things are holding steady. We also were able to secure, make sure that I have a more stable connection through that. But it's also, we went around and rebooted everything to do with wireless in the building. So
That may be why too, you're more stable right now.
yeah, because I'm not hooked up to but now I have the option to hook up into a hardwired scenario. So hopefully I won't be disappearing on you in the middle of a sentence anymore. That's my hope.
Becky, looking forward to potential hybrid meetings at some point. Maybe a hardwired one downstairs would not be a bad idea.
And that shouldn't be too hard to run. We could
At some point.
Yeah, we can run it. We just need to get a Ethernet cable and run it from ONT downstairs. So that's
just as an option. Yep.
Yeah, because we did have that trouble on Zoom too, didn't we, with a hybrid meeting? Okay, it's a great idea. Thank you, Melissa. And outside, and then we had a situation where we have a missing password for our main Zoom account. But Grace was able to get through to Zoom and talk to a real human being at Zoom. I guess it was through a chat, so we don't know if it's a real human being. But so that problem is now solved. It was kind of scary. We didn't, Grace spent all day unable to post any meetings on Zoom. So that situation has been rectified with a lot of persistence on the town clerk's part. So that's a wonderful thing that is not a disaster that you guys need to worry about, which it could have been. Outside of that, the police department today utilized the fire department facilities to do a workshop for CPR training, and which was attended by, I guess, Ashfield's Police and Fire as well. And we are hopeful in the near future that Nate Massey, one of our police officers, will be involved in doing a training at town hall on CPR. We've had the defibrillators in the building and available, but we still haven't gotten the training for town personnel. We have 2 personnel that are trained that work at town hall, but it would be good for the rest of us to have the opportunity for training in case we ever have another emergency in the building. And that's all I have for tonight.
Okay, I just, one thing for a future agenda would be great to get an update about the Army Corps of Engineers and DEP on the
Yep.
Lot 032 and what's happening there.
The next step is going to be the town of Shutesbury reaching out for OTO to do additional work.
Okay,
And that I'm hoping to put together right after town meeting,
okay,
or maybe right before town meeting.
okay. All right, so do I hear Linda?
Oh, I see Linda.
I don't hear Linda. I saw her too. Yes, Linda?
Yes, I just have a quick request there. Rita, there is some thank you letters in your box to sign, and
Okay.
everybody there in a
Red.
red folder. Yep. And then now in a green folder, there's a new letter, which is the letter that will go, hooray, finally, with the COVID gift cards.
Right, okay.
Okay, so they're
finally.
as soon as I have the check, I can go pick them up at the Big Y. And so, yeah, so if you want to get that letter signed, then I can have it ready for everybody.
Okay, great.
Thanks.
All right, so do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Yes, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second,
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Make peace, O'Neill, aye.
Stalker eye.
Carol, aye. So Becky, we'll wait to hear from you if we need to meet before town meeting, but otherwise it'll be Friday, the 19th, right?
Friday the
17th.
19th.
Whenever,
Behind-
19th.
The 17th is
I'm
Friday.
looking
Friday
at
the
June. I had my June calendar. 19th.
Right, the 20th is Friday, Friday the
20th.
20th.
That's right,
20th,
Friday the
yeah.
20th. Thank you, Eric. All right, good night, everybody.
Good night,
Good
everybody.
night, thank
Bye.
you, Good night.
Thank you. Bye.